You ask an AI for a simple, honest blog post. Beat. And what actually happens? It spits back this rigid, robotic research report. It always starts with like, in today's fast-paced digital landscape.
Oh, yeah. It is incredibly frustrating. You just want normal human words. But
Yeah.
instead, you get this sterile corporate press release.
It feels completely broken. So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are breaking down a really rigorous AI tool test. We are looking at the 4 major writing platforms: Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity.
Right. And we're finally finding out who actually wins this battle. The source material, they threw the exact same prompt at all 4. They tested script writing, research, visuals, and generation speed. The final results are honestly quite surprising.
So let's start with the absolute core problem here. Before we even look at the tool outputs, we have to fix this foundational mistake.
Yeah, it's the Swiss Army knife problem.
Yeah.
Most people just treat AI like a multi-tool. They pick whatever platform is currently trending online. Then they just use it for absolutely everything.
Which is completely crazy when you really think about it. Every tool was built to do one thing well. It's exactly like the culinary arts. Think about it this way. You're hosting an intimate, home-style Thanksgiving dinner. You wouldn't hire a fast food line cook.
No, you definitely would not do that. A line cook optimizes for speed, right? They just clear tickets. They do not care about the actual ambiance of the meal.
Exactly. Using ChatGPT for a deeply personal blog is identical. It gets the job done incredibly fast. It clears the ticket. But the human soul is, entirely missing.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. You get a fully cooked digital meal, but you definitely don't want to serve it to anyone. The underlying model training across these platforms is completely different. They optimize for completely different end goals.
Right. So what is the actual fix here? How do we stop hiring the line cook?
Well, the golden habit is writing a job description. Just one single sentence describing the exact task. You have to write it down before you open any tool.
Like, I need a hook for my YouTube video.
Yes. Or, I need 5 trending newsletter topics. It forces you to identify the specific job.
Once you know the exact job, choosing becomes easier. You stop wasting time fighting the wrong tool. But I am curious, when a specific task fails, how do you diagnose the root cause? How do you know if it's the tool failing or just your prompt?
You look at the structure of the failure. If the tone is completely wrong, it's the tool's underlying training. But if specific details are missing, your prompt just lacked context.
Wrong tone means wrong tool. Missing details means a bad prompt.
Exactly. Now that we know we need specific tools, let's look at the absolute hardest task, sounding like a genuine human being.
Right. The source material used a universal test prompt here. They asked the models for a short YouTube hook. The topic was, how I used AI agents to plan my content calendar.
Wait, let's pause there for a second. AI agents are smart software programs performing automated tasks entirely on their own.
Right, they are autonomous. So they sent this prompt to all 4 tools. The results were wildly different across the board.
Let's break them down carefully. ChatGPT wrote a decent hook, but it felt incredibly hype-driven. It tried way too hard to go viral.
It sounded like a late-night internet marketer, right? Stop scrolling. Here is the ultimate secret. That is because ChatGPT's safety training heavily rewards immediate user engagement. It defaults to high-energy marketing templates.
Yeah, it totally lacks subtlety. Then we have Perplexity. Perplexity completely failed the naturalness test here. It used dashes and list-style phrasing.
Because Perplexity is fundamentally built as a search engine. Its architecture is designed to summarize vast amounts of data quickly, so it defaults to bullet points. It read exactly like an outline.
Right, you can't speak that naturally on camera. It's impossible to read aloud. Now, Gemini was slightly better overall, but it felt a bit performed. It pushed too hard into a vulnerability narrative.
Like it's trying too hard to be your friend. Google's alignment training tries to make Gemini very empathetic, but in practice, it often sounds like fake emotional depth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Claude. Claude was the absolute champion here. It wasn't even close. Claude provided 3 different hook versions: a skeptical angle, a contrast opener, and a moment drop.
It perfectly nailed the creator's brand voice. It picked up on incredibly subtle conversational cues, like mid-sentence self-correction.
Right, and it followed a strict no triumphant energy rule. It understood the psychological assignment deeply. It knows how to show restraint.
2 seconds silence. I have to admit something here. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. I lazily expect the AI to just know my style. I expect magic without giving it actual examples.
Oh, we all do it occasionally. It's just cognitive laziness.
Yeah.
But showing is always better than just telling. You can't just say, be funny.
Yeah, you have to paste in real examples of your past work. That setup changes everything about the output. Claude actually explained exactly which signals it picked up from the examples. The output needed almost zero human editing.
It's wild. It analyzes the cadence of your sentences. It notices exactly where you place commas.
Which raises an interesting operational question. When feeding voice examples, how many samples does an AI actually need to learn your style?
3 distinct examples usually hit the sweet spot. It provides enough pattern recognition without overloading the context window with contradictory quirks.
3 examples give enough pattern recognition without confusing the model.
Precisely. Now, Claude obviously nailed the short 40-second hook. But does that human voice hold up over 1,500 words?
That is the ultimate endurance test for these models, turning a rough transcript into a casual, honest blog post. Short bursts are easy. Sustained tone is incredibly difficult.
And ChatGPT struggled significantly here. It used a generic pain point template. It felt like it could belong to absolutely anyone.
Yeah, it was solidly structured, but it totally lacked personality. It read like a B- high school essay.
Perplexity was surprisingly smart for search engines, though. It added a useful quick answer section right at the top.
Which is brilliant for SEO purposes.
Yeah.
But it totally lacked a strong point of view. It read like an organized summary rather than an article.
Gemini was fascinating in this long-form test. It had incredibly strong framing. It treated AI tools like specialized human employees.
That's a really great conceptual angle. It organized the logic cleanly. But it was just slightly too polished. It lost that raw personal edge we wanted.
Which brings us back to Claude again. Claude won this long-form test easily. It had a genuinely natural editorial rhythm.
It used varied sentence length beautifully, short punchy lines, followed by longer flowing explanations. It flowed smoothly between complex sections.
And it opened with a highly specific real story, not a generic, boring intro about today's topic. It hooked the reader immediately.
And most importantly, it held that unique voice across the entire word count. That is incredibly hard for an AI to do structurally. Why is that? Why do most AIs lose the plot and get generic on longer word counts?
Well, their attention mechanisms degrade over long outputs. They basically revert to their safety training, which heavily favors generic, perfectly average corporate speak instead of sharp opinions.
Long outputs dilute attention, forcing models back to safe, generic baselines.
Exactly right.
Sponsor break.
Yeah, and Claude writes beautifully, but sometimes you don't need a total masterpiece. Sometimes you have a different problem entirely.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a working first draft in 2 minutes. Or you desperately need thumbnail visuals for a project.
That is where ChatGPT becomes the absolute speed demon. It gives you everything in one single shot.
It's a multimodal powerhouse. You give it one prompt, you get 3 video titles, a thumbnail concept description, a hook script, a 10-point outline, key repeatable messages, all generated simultaneously.
Right. No annoying follow-up questions slowing you down. It just relentlessly does the required work. It clears the ticket fast.
But there is a massive catch. The generated thumbnail image looked heavily cluttered. It tried to cram every single concept into one frame. It looked exactly like a cheap stock photo.
Fast, but definitely not pretty. Now, Claude is the deep designer of the group. Claude doesn't generate actual images itself.
But it gave the absolute best designer brief. It acted like an elite creative director. It even included specific hex codes for the layout.
Let's quickly define that. A hex code is a 6-digit digital label identifying a specific exact color.
Right. Claude gave exact codes for an electric lime green. It explained structurally why green works better than blue for this specific psychological hook.
It broke the layout into exact left and right proportions. It gave you the blueprint. But Gemini is the actual visual winner here.
Because of Google's Imagen 3 architecture, it generated the most realistic, polished YouTube thumbnail. It had a very natural facial expression.
Yeah, it had cleaner text and a better overall layout. It actually looked like a real video thumbnail that a human would click.
So the strategy is clear. If you're starting from scratch, ChatGPT is fastest. If you need a designer brief, use Claude. And if you need a finished image, Gemini wins.
But I am stuck on the workflow friction. Do AI follow-up questions actually improve the output or just add useless friction?
They definitely improve precision. But if you just need a structural starting point to react to, that forced precision feels like absolute quicksand. It kills your momentum.
Forced precision slows momentum when you just need a rough starting block. Exactly. Sometimes you just need to start. So we have a draft, we have the visual thumbnail, but what if your underlying idea is already completely outdated?
That is a huge, often ignored content risk. Most AI platforms run on static data.
Let's clarify that real quick. Training data is the massive library of past information an AI learned from.
Right. It's a snapshot in time. So they suggest topics from months or years ago that is completely useless for current, fast-moving trends.
Enter Perplexity. It is the ultimate live researcher. It utilizes a completely different architecture. It pulls live results and direct citations.
It grabs data directly from real-time feeds,
Yeah.
Reddit, X, and Hacker News. It shows you the actual source links right in the text.
Whoa, beat. Imagine pulling real-time cultural shits from Reddit and dropping a perfectly timed video 24 hours later. You are entirely ahead of the wave.
It's a massive timing advantage. You aren't just guessing anymore. You aren't relying on a static library from last year. You're reacting to live cultural conversations happening today.
And you can verify exactly where the information is coming from. That reduces the risk of publishing inaccurate garbage. You can literally click the footnote.
The other tools struggled mightily here. ChatGPT gave very broad, generic topics. Gemini lacked clear citations entirely.
Perplexity is built for that exact specific workflow, finding what niche communities are debating right now.
But with live retrieval, things can break. How often do these AI citations actually lead to dead or completely irrelevant links?
It happens occasionally, maybe 10% of the time. The AI sometimes hallucinates the exact URL string, even if the underlying conversation actually happened online.
It hallucinates the exact URL even if the conversation is real.
Right, you still have to click and verify. Now, these premium tools sound utterly amazing, but subscribing to all of them costs an absolute fortune. Beat, it adds up quickly.
Top-tier plans are very pricey. ChatGPT Plus is $20 a month. The Pro tier is $200.
Perplexity Max is also $200 a month. So how do you build a content workflow on a budget?
Well, Gemini is the best for free users and students. Google frequently runs amazing promotional discounts.
Yeah, you can get Google AI Pro heavily discounted. It's genuinely great for image work on a budget.
But let's build the ultimate free software stack. If you have zero budget, here is the exact blueprint to follow.
Step 1. Use Gemini Free for general tasks and complex images.
Step 2. Use Perplexity Free for live trend research. You get 5 pro searches a day for free.
Step 3. Use Claude Free for your rough first drafts. 2-sec silence.
Yeah.
It is a highly capable free system for pure writing.
That covers almost everything you need. You pay exactly $0 for a world-class digital team.
But when you do finally spend money, upgrade Claude first. Get the $20 Pro tier.
Why Claude first? Because writing quality has the absolute highest return on investment.
It saves the most manual editing time. You can patch together visuals later, but bad writing ruins everything right from the start.
Speaking of free limits, I have a practical question. When you hit those free tier limits mid-task, what's the best recovery strategy?
Export your prompt history immediately. Then paste that context into another free tool to seamlessly bridge the gap without losing your creative momentum.
Export the prompt history immediately and paste it into another tool.
Yep, keep the context alive. So let's summarize the big core takeaway here. Beat. You have to match the tool to the task.
Stop using one single AI platform for absolutely everything. It is a recipe for mediocrity. Claude is your human ghostwriter.
ChatGPT is your fast, all-in-one brainstorming partner. Perplexity is your live, real-time internet researcher.
And Gemini is your budget-friendly visual artist. They all have distinct, powerful superpowers based on their training.
Knowing exactly which one to open changes your entire workflow. It saves hours of frustrating editing.
It shifts you from fighting the tool to directing it, which leads to a final, lingering thought for you. Beat. Tools like Claude are becoming perfectly capable of mimicking our most human conversational quirks.
Down to our weird hesitations, our mid-sentence corrections, and our deflated punchlines.
Right. So what happens to authenticity online? If an AI can fake being perfectly imperfect, will raw human errors become the new premium content?
That is a fascinating philosophical question. We might start actively craving genuine human mistakes just to prove we are real.
Try an experiment today. Write down your exact task sentence. Do it before you open any AI tool.
It will completely change your creation workflow, I promise.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us. We'll catch you next time.